Good evening, everybody. Allow me, please, to call to order the Ferndale City Council meeting of Monday, November the 8th, 2010. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Roll call. Council members Baker. Here. Galloway.
Here.
Lennon.
Here.
Piana. Here. Mayor Covey.
Here as well. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk, approval of the agenda.
That's it.
Any changes or requests or a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and seconded. Lennon, Baker. Approve the agenda as is. Madam Clerk.
Council members Baker.
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Lennon.
Yes.
Piana.
Yes.
Mayor Covey.
Yes, thank you. That's approved. Madam Clerk, the first presentation
First
tonight.
presentation is from Ferndale Public Schools.
We would like to say congratulations to our Ferndale High School volleyball team for winning their district championships this past Friday. They begin regional playoffs tomorrow night. We'd like to congratulate their coach, Shannon Petrus, and her team. We'd like to say thank you to Julie Hall and the Ferndale Recreation Department for their cooperation with our joint event, a Senior Citizens Breakfast at the Ferndale Schools. Our students from Ferndale High School and University High School were in attendance, and they impressed our guests with their many activities and accomplishments. So we'd like to say thank you to Julie. We are also planning a community breakfast with the Ferndale Chamber. That's February 1st, so if anyone's interested, you can save the date for that. This Saturday, our Ferndale District Ambassadors are hosting a meet and greet event at Harding Administration Building, which is 2920 Burdett. This is a change of location. It was originally scheduled for the Kulik Center, is now at Harding. This event is an opportunity to learn about the Ferndale schools from parents of the district. Administrators will also be on hand, but we invite young families to come out and learn about our district, about all our buildings and programs that we have to offer. It's from 10 a.m. to 12 noon this Saturday at the Harding Administration Center. Also this week, our Ferndale High School students are presenting their fall play, Peter Pan. Performances are scheduled for this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Sunday. All performances are in the Ferndale High School Auditorium, which is located at 881 Pinecrest. This is a family-friendly show, and it features Peter Pan and Captain Hook, and both roles have been double cast, so the students will be alternating for each performance. Tickets are $5 for adults, $4 for students and senior citizens, and $3 for children 12 and under. While football season is over, we wanted the community to know about one of our players on the Ferndale High School football team, Anthony Garland. He ended the season as the state's leading rusher for the regular season, and at one point he was leading rusher in the nation. He was being recruited heavily by some of the best schools in the Midwest. We are very proud of him. And for our big news, we are very proud to share that our Ferndale High School Golden Eagle Marching Band won their state championship again in Flight 3 this past Saturday. The band performed their show Interstellar Suite and scored an 83.62 season high to take home the first place trophy. They also won Best Marching and Best General Effect Caption Awards. We'd like to congratulate Band Director Elin Jameson, Assistant Director Ben Moy, and the 122-member band. This is the 6th state championship in the past 7 years.
Wow.
A link to the photos from the event have been posted on the Ferndale Schools Facebook fan page. The band was also today's lead story on studentandmusician.com. This is our senior drum major. Everyone to see. We're very proud of them, and big congratulations goes out to those guys. We'd like the community to know if they are interested in receiving our weekly fan out, to sign up for our newsletters by emailing fpsfanout@ferndaleschools.org. Subject, sign me up, and you can join us on Facebook and Twitter.
Great going. Congratulations. Madam Clerk, what's next?
We have a presentation by the Better Buildings for Michigan program.
evening, Mayor and Council. We are returned again. I'm Jacob Corviday. This is Amanda Dentler from the Southeast Michigan Regional Energy Office. And just as a quick overview on all that again, is Regional Energy Office is a collaborative founded by the Michigan Suburbs Alliance, Warm Training Center, the Michigan Municipal League, and SEMCOG, and is made up of member governments from around the region to help tackle energy issues. The Better Buildings for Michigan program uses a community approach to deliver energy efficiency improvements to homes and businesses by providing access to incentives and affordable loans, and is a statewide program. We are administering the local residential portion of that program. And that program is supported by the Recovery Act and is delivered by the Department of Energy, Labor, and Economic Growth, Michigan Saves, the Southeast Michigan Regional Energy Office, the City of Grand Rapids, and the City of Detroit through the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. So that's who we are. And we presented to this body about a month ago about the Better Buildings for Michigan program coming here, and we just wanted to give you an update, and I believe there is a resolution that is before the council about this as well. So again, the basic program, what we're doing is there's a pilot neighborhood in southwest Ferndale. We are providing information about these incentives and whatnot to any Ferndale resident who's interested in tackling energy efficiency. But people in this pilot neighborhood are receiving a base package worth over $1,000, including an energy assessment of their home and services to that home. There's a small $50 fee from the homeowner to help get skin in the game, basically, and participate in the program, and then we expect people to save over $300 a year from the results of that. We're also looking at how they may be able to go much farther with additional energy improvements and sort of create a model energy efficient neighborhood.
So what you see before you is the neighborhood that was actually selected, and we just want to update you on that we did have a kickoff event at the Kulik Center Thursday the 28th. That was a success. About 30 people showed up, and from that we have 20 energy makeovers scheduled in homes in this neighborhood. So that is a neighborhood that is piloting this program, and if you live in the area or you know anyone that lives in the area that would like to take advantage of this, you can please contact the next slide, our outreach specialists, and myself. Thank you.
That's all.
Oh, thank you. We do have a resolution to support your work, which is amazing and good. Does someone wish to?
I would love to make that motion because I live in that neighborhood and my 90-plus-year-old house will happily benefit.
All right.
There wasn't necessarily a line in the resolution. Do we want to read the entire thing?
I don't think it's necessary. Since we just had the presentation, you might want to pick a line or two and then just move to adopt unanimously.
I would move that we support the Better Buildings for Michigan program resolution as presented.
Support, seconded by Galloway, motion by Baker. Again, it's an exciting program, and hope everybody in the neighborhood takes advantage. Help them each individually as well as the community, and certainly cutting down on energy. I'm sure the Environmental Sustainability Commission would love everyone to take part of it as well. All right, the motion was made and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Council members Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
And Mayor Covey.
Yes as well. Thank you, and thanks for the presentation, Jacob and Amanda. Next item, Madam Clerk.
A presentation by Community Living Services.
Certainly, I'll introduce this as they come forward, but a couple weeks ago I mentioned to y'all that we had a new organization moving to town that's going to move into one of our large, spacious buildings on East 9 Mile, actually the building where the Ferndale Library was temporarily housed. And among other things, they are bringing 30 jobs to the city, as well as some pretty neat programs. So let me turn it over to y'all. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, thank you very much. My name is Annette Downey, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Living Services, Oakland County Division. With me today I have Lisa Bleen, who is our Director of Community Support, Paul Newman, who is our Chief Operating Officer, Tiffany Devon, who is with our Public Relations Department, We have AJ O'Neill, who has been a partner with us in several avenues and venues, and Bob Sheldon, who is the owner of the property. We are an agency that works with people with developmental disabilities who live throughout all of Oakland County. We are thrilled that we have signed a lease for the property at 642 East 9 Mile, which is the former temporary home of the Ferndale Library. Bob Sheldon is from R&B Realty, and he is the owner of the property. It's been just wonderful to work with. There are some revisions to the building and some build-up, but we're looking to take occupancy in January. And the office will primarily house social workers, as we are a community-based agency. So those we serve in their own homes, and we will be traveling throughout Oakland County. When you hear of an agency that serves people with disabilities, some people instantly think, oh, they're going to be opening group homes and day programs. But our agency is actually set up with community-first basis. We believe in self-determination, which is a model that offers alternatives to group homes and sheltered workshops and day programs. So we help people find apartments, sign their own leases, live in their own places, and if they need support to be successful, our agency helps line up some supports, maybe to help with grocery shopping and cooking and things of that nature. We believe in helping people with disabilities be active and contributing members of their community, so we definitely look forward to avenues where our members and people we serve can volunteer and give back to the communities where they live and to the Ferndale community, which we look forward to partnering with. We also believe in income generation and jobs for everybody, so seeking opportunities and job skills through volunteerism and on-the-job training. Basically, we support people with disabilities to have the same quality of life as anybody else, and we believe that happens by just being in the community and being active. As a group of active coworkers, we already have enjoyed many of the benefits of visiting the Ferndale community via local stores, coffee shops, restaurants, and entertainment venues. So we know the good food, the talent, and the fun times that the community offers. And I can guarantee you that all of our staff have already felt very welcomed in the Ferndale community, and we look forward to continuing to make our presence known and utilizing your businesses. And everybody is very much looking forward to making Ferndale our home base. We're excited to be part of the community. We feel our commitment to inclusiveness and social justice for all people is a value that we share with the mayor, the council, and the members of the community. We have felt very welcome today, and we look forward to a continued partnership with the members of Ferndale as we move into your community and plan on staying a long, long time. Thank you.
Super. Annette, is there a website that folks can learn more about your organization?
Yes, www.comliveserve.com. So that's www.comliveserv.com.
Your organization is only 6 or 7 years old?
6 years, yes, as of October 1st.
And you're growing.
Yes, we've had a larger division in Wayne County, and in Oakland County, we're brought up here to, again, offer choice to everybody and alternatives, and we do focus on people living in their community, signing their own leases, and earning income in the local community. So we're a growing agency, and we continue to hope to grow, and like I say, we're just thrilled that we're able to make Ferndale our home base, and going into such a nice new building with a terrific landlord has just made us absolutely very happy and excited about our future.
Well, you do have a terrific landlord, Mr. Sheldon. Thank you for assisting in bringing them here. And on behalf of all the people of Ferndale, we welcome you. We're glad you're here. Thanks.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Through the chair, I have just a quick question. I'm on your website right now. We are slightly wired in Ferndale City Hall. And I see that you offer senior services, and I wonder if you've met our Recreation Department Director. I say it only because she's here this evening. Julie Hall. We have a very active senior community, and a lot of their activities revolve around our recreation center. So Julie, if you would wave your hand in the back, maybe you guys could connect on some services that you might be able to coordinate.
We certainly can, and we've also partnered with Affirmations, the community center, and I know we plan on doing a lot more outreach now that we're based in the community with that organization, but we would love to exchange business cards and make a further connection.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Welcome again. Let's welcome them.
You know, the PR person always has to say something, but I'm very, very quick. We met AJ O'Neill last year. Every year, well, this year, our organization also has a foundation, Friends of CLS. And AJ has been wonderful for having different talent shows throughout the year and has invited lots of people from our organization. And he won an award this year for Community Partner. So we've taken that a step further. I'm sure you're all familiar with the assembly line. So there will be an Assembly Line 3 in March. We'll have a black tie event, and then we'll probably go for 15 days or some crazy amount. And it'll be a fundraiser for Friends of CLS. So you will hear all about it a lot. and I hope that we can all, get to know each other and continue our partnership in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to that black tie event.
This Sunday, Ken's Awesome Talent Show will show some of the best of the CLS community, because this has been going on for about 3 years at AJ's. And please stop by and say hello after the football game.
Thanks, AJ. All right, very cool. Madam Clerk, next item.
That brings us to call to audience, Your Honor.
All righty. The call to audience is a 30-minute portion of the beginning of the meeting where community folks and anyone really can speak on any issue they wish. We ask that you keep it to 3 minutes or less, and we do time y'all. We ask that you share your name and address verbally or written down in the back, and ask again that you don't attack the integrity of any individuals. It is 14 minutes till, so we'll go to 16 minutes after the hour. Yes, sir.
Evening, Council. Excuse me. My name is Trevor Johnson, representing the Ferndale Environmental Sustainability Commission tonight, here to deliver this month's green tip. And it's around our holidays. One is support a local farmer by buying a live tree, and then you can plant it in your backyard or your aunt's backyard like I did last year. It's a wonderful addition inside your house, and the smell of that pine lasts a lot longer if you buy a live tree, and avoids all the toxins that come with fake trees or the energy intensity of importing a tree that's been pre-cut. Second is that gift wrapping. Use alternative gift wrap without buying a big old roll of paper, comic books, calendars, old funny things that you've accumulated in your closet rather than having the piles just keep getting bigger and bigger. And rather than bows and whatnot, use like pine cones or something from the front yard, some leaf that is still on there in the middle of winter. A third one here, since Thanksgiving is coming up, buy a locally grown turkey. There are a number of vendors at the Royal Oak Market that sell as grass as they're grazed. They do eat some grain, which birds need, but it's mostly grass-fed, and it's delicious, grown in Michigan, and the Natural Food Patch will have your meat alternatives. The last one is that rather than lighting with the standard lights, if you invest in LEDs, you will save money over time. And there are places where you can recycle the old lights now. So are there any questions from council to the FESC regarding the green tip?
Trevor, you mentioned a locally grown turkey. So is the Royal Oak Farmers Market, is that where you're saying is the place to go?
Yes. There's one vendor that I know particularly and love particularly that I would suggest getting it from, but I won't suggest it, as we can't represent a business as the FESC.
Well, tell me and I'll announce it later, all right?
All right.
We do want to support our local farmers, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
you kindly.
Hello, Mayor Covey and Council. Douglas Christie, also with the Ferndale Environmental Sustainability Commission, and I am here to announce the next Green Tuesday, which is tomorrow, November 9th at the Kulik Center. The topic is Greening Your Holidays. And as I mentioned last week, what we're going to be doing is presenting ways to have a holiday that is more green. So that makes sense, keeping it simple there. Talking about preparing your meals, recycling wrapping paper, as Trevor just mentioned, reusing holiday cards, and other great tips to not only save money and keep the planet healthier, but to bring the family together to do these crafts and share these ideas together. So again, that's tomorrow, 6:30 to 8 o'clock at the Kulik Community Center, Green Tuesday, and we hope to see some, if not all of you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you believe the holidays are here already? Buying local is probably another good idea. Michigan products and local products in our own downtown as gifts. You can get my gift there downtown.
I'll pick it up.
All right, thanks.
Good evening, Council Mayor. Frank Flores here, representing the American Legion, Post 330. Just a reminder to everybody, this coming Thursday is November 11th, which is Veterans Day. That is the day that we honor all our past and present veterans, those who serve the armed forces. The Ferndale Memorial Association is hosting an observance at the mall on Livernois, south of 9 Mile. All are welcome. Also, there will be a special speaker, and he's from Ferndale, even though I believe he lives in Hazel Park, but he's a well-known resident from Ferndale that has served our military quite often with 4 tours into Iraq. And just recently, he received an award from the Rotary Club, as you saw in the paper, that Blooms presented him a quilt. He's going to be he's from the United States Navy, and that will be Chief Petty Officer Todd A. Caswell. He'll be there to be our keynote speaker that evening, morning, that is. Also, a member from the Elks will be down there to ring the memorial bell. As you know, November 11th is on the 11th at 11 a.m. is 11/11/11 for the veterans. So we ask all the citizens to fly the flag on that day to honor their services, myself being as a veteran too, and a few of you. Also, I'd like to make a couple of announcements. Oh, besides that, afterwards there will be coffee and donuts, hopefully provided by the Ferndale Fire Department. There will be an open house at the museum that will present some of the military memorabilia, especially the collection of books that we have, catalog books of all our Ferndale residents, the past and present, that serve the armed forces. So that is something to really see that we have put together. I have a couple announcements too from our American Legion. At this past Saturday, November 6th, at the city's annual appreciation dinner for the auxiliary patrolmen, the American Legion sponsors the Auxiliary Patrolman of the Year award, and we presented this to an auxiliary member of the force. His name is Mark W. Webb. Also, we donated $2,000 to the unit, the American Legion did, so they can keep the award going and the activity, whatever they need, and provisions of equipment or trips or whatever they can use. So we presented them that check, and we hopefully it comes in. And finally, I'd like to thank the city for hosting that fine activity. Those who attended, it was well attended, and myself being there representing the American Legion for the 25th year that I said since the award's been there. So one time I said thank you again for hosting that dinner.
Thank you, Frank, and a nice job on the contribution to the police auxiliary.
Good evening. Sherry Wells, 315 West Troy. A reminder about the second meeting of the Downtown Neighborhood Association. It will be this coming Sunday. This time, the First United Methodist Church of Ferndale is permitting us to have a room. We will be meeting from 4 o'clock until 6, which is a little bit later than last time. We will have the forms again for anyone who wants to volunteer for DDA work, although my daughter and I will be at the Rotary Club Pancake Breakfast the morning of the Ice Festival. And as a special treat for any child who's come for breakfast there and will sing with Caroling Cat will get one special pancake to decorate for themselves. We will also be talking about parking and noise at the Downtown Neighborhood Association meeting. I see that noise is not on the agenda as it was supposed to be for tonight. And the rumors are correct. There is a new petition being circulated. This one does not talk about the patios because sometimes they can be done right, even by Rosie's. And it's not talking about decibels because, as you were told on September 20th, which was not on camera and there are no minutes, but there is an audio of that where several of the neighbors who did not show up at the regular meeting the following Monday because they'd already been there had expressed their concerns and what they're having to deal with. As we said then, the decibels are not telling the story. So very simply, this new proposed ordinance goes back to what was in there before the 2000 changes, is the number of feet from the source that it can still be heard loud and clear, with a greater number of feet for commercial buildings than for residents. This will also cover the police who gave 11 tickets last year to residents without even using a decibel meter, so this allows them to continue that practice. So if anyone would like to sign that petition, if they would give me a call or an email, please do not call before noon. My daughter is forced to change her sleep schedule to where she's sleeping from 4 in the morning until noon every day. Is my 3 minutes up?
I forgot to time you, so
Oh, thank you.
it's all right.
Good evening, Council. Congratulations, Mayor Covey, on your electoral win as County Commissioner. Congratulations, Mr. Bruner, on your new responsibilities with the passage of the Ferndale proposal. And congratulations, Grandma Sherilyn, on the birth of your grandson. That was today, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Friday, November 19th, the Ferndale Community Foundation will be hosting our first community roast. Jeannie Davis, president of the seniors, will be our roastee. It will be held at the Ferndale Elks in the upstairs banquet hall. Tickets are $25 per person, $15 for seniors, and any of Jeannie's ex-husbands or ex-lovers are free because we feel they've paid enough. Doors will open at 6:30 p.m. and a late buffet dinner will be served with food donated from Dino's, Rosie O'Grady's, and Western Market. Our roasters for the evening are Mayor Covey, Councilman Lennon, Dean Bach, Dan Martin, Francine Haysham, myself, and several surprise guests. Tickets are available by calling Dan Martin at 248-672-4067, or I have some tickets tonight for anybody that wants to purchase them tonight. Thank you.
What's the date again, Greg?
Friday, November 19th. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Greg. Yeah, that'll be a fun roast. Hopefully you won't wear that same jacket again every time. We're getting in practice. I hope you're there as well.
Making fashion statements now.
It'd be fun.
Makes me, I would be fun. I can't be there, I'm sorry to say. I'd love to be. Chris Hughes from the Ferndale DDA, Communications and Marketing. I'm here to remind everybody that on Monday, November 15th, we are going to have a Volunteer Connection event, and it's everybody's opportunity to come on out and hook themselves up with an organization and put their free time, we all have so much of it, to good use. It will be from 5:30 to 7:30 at Blooms by JR Designs at 503 East 9 Mile. And the organizations that will be there that you can volunteer for include Affirmations, Fern Care, the Ferndale Community Foundation, the Ferndale Library, and Michigan AIDS Coalition, and of course the DDA. So we invite everybody to come. It's free. It's a great chance to find out what these organizations do, how you can get involved in a little way or a big way, and just be making change and a contributor to your community. So if you have any questions, call the DDA at 248-546-1632 or check it out at downtownferndale.com. Thank you.
But is there room for other organizations if they wanted to get
Probably. We aren't limiting it. We solicited as many as we could, and this is what we got first. We'll do another one of these, so if you don't get in it this time.
Perhaps Community Living Services might show up and...
Actually, I was going to give them my card. So it's in my pocket right here. Oh, it's at my seat. Thank you.
We're just networking here furiously.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Will from American Pop, 175 West 9 Mile Road. The Merchants of 9 Mile are holding a Friday Ferndale Art Mingle. We will be giving local artists a chance to display and create their wares on Friday the 19th, starting at 6 p.m. And we will have complimentary hors d'oeuvres and cocktails. And in the spirit of the season, we will also be collecting canned food and non-perishable goods to the Ferndale Food Bank. And if you give us a canned food, we will gift wrap anything from any store for free, and we will be custom gift wrapping as suggested using pine cones, and I'm going to use vintage ornaments and old comic books and newspapers and some really cool stuff. So your gift will match the personality or the contents of within. And any artists who would like to be participating in this event can call us at one of these two phone numbers, or any store that we haven't had a chance to talk to yet who would like to host an artist for this evening could call either one of these two numbers, 414-9170, 837-9835, if you would like to set up your art or participate in this event. That's Friday the 19th, starting at 6 p.m. It'll probably go on until midnight. So anybody going to that awesome roast could come in and grab a drink and some munchies at one of the stores that'll be open late that evening.
Where is the Art Mingle? Is it throughout the downtown?
A couple stores are participating, and we will be featuring handbags, linen, keychains, magnets, and salvage art made from found objects. Ta-da! as recently featured in the Detroit News Homestyle section, promoting and advising people to shop Ferndale and American Pop for one-of-a-kind salvage art. A House of Chance, American Pop, and the new tattoo place will all be open late, and we're going to try to get some more people on board. Okay, thank you.
Seems like that. There's that new hybrid moment store that features all those local crafters.
I'm Rebecca Hammond from West Drayton. Because of some misunderstandings that have seemed to have come up about Ferndale commissions, I wonder if you might take a moment and explain quickly how a Ferndale resident might find out about vacancies on commissions and apply.
Good question. Sherilyn, do you want to take a crack at it, and I'll try to fill in?
Certainly. We tend to post those vacancies on the homepage of the website.
Okay, and then what is the application procedure if someone is interested?
The announcement is actually a link to the application on the website.
And what information does the applicant have to fill in?
It's basically contact information and any background experience.
Education, employment, that type of
Education,
thing?
employment, and any other experience that might relate to that particular committee that you're applying for. And you can always get an application by calling the clerk's office.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Sure, you can visit the clerk's office as well, but they probably prefer a call, or even better, going online. And if you know of the committee or commission you're interested in, you can always check with those folks as well. And there's a host of different commissions and volunteer opportunities through the city and through other groups that were mentioned earlier. Thanks, Becky. Good question. Anyone else tonight? All right, we will move on then, Madam Clerk. Consent agenda?
That brings us to the consent agenda. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 25th. B, approval to adopt a resolution proclaiming November 2010 as Family Caregivers Month. C, approval of the upgrade of the police department's recording system for 911 telephone and radio transmissions with the new DSS Equature recording system from DSS Corporation in Southfield at a cost of $57.98 annually for a 5-year installment plan from the account as listed. Item D, approval to reappoint Sarah Rodinger to the Plan Commission for a term ending December 31st, 2013. Item E, approval of the revised CDBG Yard Services contract with OLSHA valid from July 2010 through June 2011. Item F, approval of the use agreement for municipal truck between Wags and Wishes Animal Rescue and the City of Ferndale. Item G, approval to authorize the expenditure of $4,198.75 to Global Risk Innovations for the Blue Card Command Train the Trainer course at the Clay FD CTC in December as submitted by the Fire Chief. Item H, approval to host the Holiday Ice Festival event on the sidewalks in downtown Ferndale on December 11th, including the road closure of Planavon from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m., and the partial closure of the library parking lot from 6:30 a.m. until 11 p.m. Item I, approval of the amendment of the City of Ferndale Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Traffic and Motor Vehicle Code, to add Section 18-9, Traffic Regulation on School Property. Item J, approval of the Fourth Amendment to the Neighborhood Stabilization Program contract with Home Renewal Systems of Michigan, extending the deadline for sale of the NSP properties until June 30th, 2011, and eliminating the $5,000 contractor fee and revising the developer's fee to 15%. Item K, approval to authorize the mayor to sign the conflict of interest certification required for the CDBG program year 2011 application. And finally, item L, approval of the bills and payrolls as certified by the city manager to be paid subject to review by the Council Finance Committee.
Thanks, Ms. Tallman. Well done. Which items would folks like to pull for further discussion?
I'd like to pull I. Approval of the amendment of the City of Ferndale Code of Ordinances.
I is pulled.
And J, the Housing Neighborhood Stabilization Program.
Okay, J. And I'm asking item C as in cat to be pulled as well for discussion. Anything else? Then a motion to adopt all of those items A through L with the exception of I, J, and C.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded Baker Galloway to approve the consent agenda with those three items pulled. Madam Clerk.
Council members Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Baker? Yes. Galloway?
Yes.
Mayor Covey?
Yes, passes. Regular agenda item, Madam Clerk.
Agenda item A, consideration of strategic planning facilitator.
Mr. Berner, would you like to introduce this item?
Thanks, Your Honor. Back at the special council meeting on, I think it was September 20th, we briefly discussed this year's strategic planning retreat. At that time, the council expressed interest in a shorter one-day retreat and a new facilitator. Based on that information, I solicited proposals from 3 facilitators, but subsequently found out that there are several among us who are unable to meet on November 20th. And so tonight, instead of considering these proposals specifically, I'd like the council to have some discussion of whether or not to have a retreat in the coming months, what the council would like to discuss at the retreat, and then who might facilitate it. To provide a little bit of background, the internal portion of the budgeting process will begin in January. So in order for the council's goals and objectives to have a significant impact on the budget that we present in March, it would be advantageous to have a retreat sometime between now and the end of January. Obviously, with you, Mr. Mayor, leaving office to take your seat with the County Commission, there'll be a change on the council. So I've had some discussions with individuals who indicated it might make sense to wait until a successor mayor is appointed. But that's a little bit about the time constraint. I think the other issue that the council needs to consider is whether or not its existing goal statement is by and large sufficient, and if it doesn't require many changes and provides a good starting point for the coming year, then that timing may not be as critical. So I have some copies of that with me if the council wants to review that at this time. But basically just looking for some direction as to if we might meet, and if so, when, and what the council would like to discuss at that time.
All right, very good. Well, let's open it up to the council then for any discussion they may wish to impart on us. I'm open, and I'm equally happy. Should there be a retreat prior to early January, I'd be more than happy to attend and assist and share thoughts, but I'm also equally happy should you decide to wait for the additional council member to come on.
Well, I concur. I think we should wait for the addition we're going to be getting. It makes no sense to facilitate this with you with no disrespect, and to pay for a facilitator at this time. I think we need to discuss that a little bit further down the road. And as far as what we want to discuss, it's my opinion that possibly, and I think Councilman Galloway had mentioned this, that maybe the city manager retrieve all the information from the department heads and employees, and then we'll go from there. What their ideas and dream list is.
Okay, Councilwoman?
I had a pretty lengthy conversation with the city manager about this today. I do agree with the timing suggestion, but beyond that, when I think about the goals that we came up with last year, I don't think they would be significantly different this year if we just sort of started over from scratch. And I think we would come out with regional service sharing and financial stability, a lot of the same things that we talked about last year. So my suggestion to the city manager was that perhaps this year we not think about this as much as sort of a strategic planning meeting as it is more of a conversation with those who have been implementing our guidelines for the last year. So we obviously have 2 new chiefs in the police and fire departments, and we have other city department heads who have reported to the city manager, and we've heard some of their reports through him, but to have them all there at the table to look at this list, to see what we've accomplished, maybe what has gone in a direction we didn't think it would, and what the next implementation steps are for those department heads might be a worthwhile exercise that the city manager could lead for us. So rather than starting over again with a new visioning process or a new strategic planning process at this point, where we've pretty much still got the same team up here and we're working toward the same goals. That was just my suggestion, is that we look at this as more of a working session, and then perhaps next year when there's a new, dynamic up here, when there's, been a report from the financial committee, when there's been another election, when maybe there's been, conversation about a millage, when we're further along on maybe service consolidation, that's when we start with, okay, we've accomplished a few of these, what are the next strategic goals for the city? Just a suggestion on how we save money on a facilitator and maybe cut down on some of the time that it takes to do this process this year.
I think those are excellent suggestions. Let's all share any thoughts they have.
Yeah, I agree with everything Kate says. I mean, I think as far as specific goals go, can't imagine they would change too much. And certainly if we get there, we can always add one or two, or refine one or two. I wonder if it might also be good to take a step back and maybe look at a higher level, vision for the city, or some sort of mission statement or something that defines what Ferndale is going to look like, or what we'd like Ferndale to look like in more general terms after we get through this crisis. But I think late January, when a new council person is up here, it would also be a good opportunity to sort of build the team a little bit.
I concur, and I think what I've heard from Scott is team building, providing new guidance to the city manager and the department heads on the goals. I would concur with Scott. I think we need to come up with a new vision statement for the city to have more alignment with our goals, and I personally would like us to see to expand on our goal statements, objectives, and an implementation plan. I think when I first started on council, I mentioned performance measurement, and Bob, the city manager, has mentioned these types of performance measurement that is being promoted for cities to take on, especially in fiscal stress. So I think we need to look at how do we start adopting more performance measurement types of principles and practices. What are we doing now that aligns with that? So I think these need to come in our conversation with team building, implementation plan for next year on our achieving our goals, and the actions that we're taking to implement those goals. So basically the same thing.
That was a much bigger thing than I said.
Well, it's big.
I don't disagree, but all of it this year, do you think?
Well, I think it needs to be put in as part of a long-term goal, is performance measurements, and how do we start achieving some of those outcomes that are promoted through the International Council, the ICMA. I can't think of the appropriate.
City Managers Association.
Yes, the City Manager Association, as well as the Michigan Municipal League. These are the new ways of leading or managing cities to do results-driven types of actions and measuring our results on those. So how do we start making that a cultural, implementing that in our city as part of our management culture? It's a lofty goal.
It's a bigger project than what I initially articulated.
No, but we can still put it in there, and we can come up with action items throughout the year that takes us steps towards implementing it. I also think we need to get input from staff on this external communications plan about what that means, and so I think that's part of the discussion as well. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Can I ask a clarifying question through the chair?
Of course you can.
Because I've just been talking over you. I apologize.
All right.
Are you thinking that this is something that we can accomplish internally, with our department heads there, with the city manager leading sort of an implementation-driven conversation rather than a revisioning? Or are you thinking that this is a...
Well, I'm on the fence about having the city manager facilitate this discussion, because we are in a transition period of, especially after this ballot initiative passing, and I think we do need some outside facilitation. However that we design that is up to us. But I think I am open to waiting for the new council member to join us. I am concerned, though, of how we're going to accomplish or setting a framework and a time frame, knowing that our budgeting is coming up again, and I don't know what the plan is to address that budgeting, as well as any millage recommendations that we need to think about and have special meetings for. So I'm just thinking our February, March, April, May months could really become overwhelming in what we have to discuss. So this is my concerns.
Yes, can I make a comment about the paid facilitator comment that was going on? As you know, I'm a part of the Financial Planning Committee, and we've been doing a lot of out-of-the-box thinking. One of the members came up with the idea of, we have a lot of wealth and knowledge in our citizens, and in many instances, we can put out to the citizens saying, is there someone that would like to donate their time? And in that instance, instead of paying someone, a citizen would donate their time to be the facilitator. So I just want to throw that out there.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Pollica. Sure. I happen to know there are folks who live in Ferndale who are facilitators. That's what they do. They're a wealth of folks that are retired and folks who have done facilitation. So that's an option. I mean, it's $1,000, a couple $1,000, but it is something to consider, and it keeps it home, keeps it in the home. We can go around again, a second round. I really liked what you mentioned, Mayor Pro Tem Baker, in that a team building approach, because you're going to have a new acting mayor, you're going to have a new council member, you have a new police chief, a new fire chief, and I think while you can certainly start to work on some of the goals that Melanie's mentioning, an important aspect of this retreat is to get everybody on the same page and sort of rowing in the same direction, checking in, finding out how it's working. I wanted to ask a question. Normally at this time of year, or soon, we would be getting our 6-month budget update. In other words, halfway through the year point where we would see how the budget's looking. Are we up, down, right on track? Is that coming in December, Mr. Bruner?
I haven't discussed the scheduling specific with Finance Director Hughbanks, but the end of December is the end of the first half of the fiscal year. Right. So we'll provide an update either at the end of December or beginning of January.
Okay. Because normally we do. I think it seems like around December, don't we usually get a projection?
Yeah, last year we did it on Monday, November 23rd.
The retreat or the half-year?
The submission of the interim forecast.
As I thought. So, maybe that's something, because Councilwoman Piana, or somebody mentioned there's a lot coming, and I think that, again, is sort of, obviously it's the job of the city manager to look at the calendar January through May and start to look at the months. The budget stuff is usually heavy March, April, and which means January, February is really when you've got to start thinking and planning and retreating, and probably a couple of weeks to think about council members and what your process will be. So, but we ought to be able to get a handle on the budget. Even though it's still mostly bad news, there are glimmers of light in the distant future. What else? Any second thoughts?
Well, I like Melanie's ideas of perhaps taking some of those ideas and applying them to some of our goals. Mm-hmm. If we can't do the whole thing, I think the way you start a culture change is not saying we're going to throw it on every single goal in every single department, but maybe one of our goals is a sustainable budget. So having more real-time reporting on that, or measuring on a monthly basis our progress towards that might be a good way of developing a different management culture in City Hall. As for the paid facilitator or not, we've gone to what, three, four, five, maybe 6 of these things together. I think the paid facilitators have been a real mixed bag. Some of them have been good, others have been less than good, and I think that I really see no reason why the city manager can't facilitate a discussion with the people he works with. One of the things that, and we can try it for 1 year. If it doesn't work out, then we can go back to something else. But one of the things that I haven't liked about it is we spend a half a night or half a day or that whole Friday evening, sort of introducing ourselves and telling all the city's problems or concerns and hopes and aspirations to this guy. I'd much rather have somebody who's got a deeper knowledge of the city of Ferndale facilitating the discussion. So I'd be inclined to have the city manager do it at least this year and see how it turns out.
Any other final thoughts? Mr. Bruner, did you get a flavor of the council's preferences?
Yep, we'll start working on dates.
Very good. If so, if no one objects, we'll move on then from the regular agenda item. All right. Then, Madam Clerk, we are, I assume, at item C.
That's correct.
And I asked to have this removed only for some brief discussion. Maybe the police chief, Chief Collins, would come up forward. I understand the system chief, this has to do with replacing our recording system for 911 telephone and radio transmissions, and it appears that we could get a brand new system for minimal money instead of paying a fair amount of money each year for maintenance. Is that the gist?
That's correct, Your Honor.
My simple question had to do with last year, about a year ago, we learned that all telephone calls to the police department, including calls from council members and the mayor to the police chief, were recorded. Is that still the policy? Is that what this system is for, among other things?
No, we have made those changes that were requested by council, and we haven't changed them since, Your Honor. And this would be a system that would record the telephones in the police department as well as the radio transmission in the 911 center. This is just an enhanced, this is just a, it actually is a trusted vendor that we have dealt with for many, many years. This is, to me, it was somewhat of a no-brainer. There is, the current system is not broken and is not in need of repair, but it also has, it has value right now, and it won't, and that value obviously will decrease every year, and the amount that it costs to maintain the maintenance agreement will go up every year. So this really was a win-win situation. And it's not going to be something that will be out there next year. This is just like a one-time opportunity.
Okay, and so I know there was you set up a system, at least with the county prosecutor, where those phone calls are on cell phones now?
That's correct.
Okay. And if members of council or the new mayor call you, if they call on the landline, any landline or the business phone, are those automatically recorded?
No, sir.
No? Okay. I appreciate it. That was the only question I had. Did anyone else have any questions on that?
No, I think the chief on us a great deal.
Do you?
I would move. Do you want me to make a motion? Okay. I would move to approve the upgrade of the police department's recording system for 911 telephone and radio transmissions with the new DSS Equiture recording system from DSS Corporation, 18311 West, 10 miles Southfield, Michigan, at the cost of $5,698 annually for a 5-year installment plan from account number 101-301-775, as submitted by the chief of police.
Support. Thank you for reading that entire motion. A motion made by Baker, seconded by Galloway. Discussion. Madam Clerk?
Councilmembers Piana?
Yes.
Baker? Yes. Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Mayor Covey?
Yes, as well. Passes unanimously. Item I. Chief, would that be you to introduce as well?
I was the one who pulled it off the agenda,
Go
so
ahead.
Chief, I have some questions for you.
Sorry, Chief. Item I as well. Making you run back and forth tonight.
I have questions about the trial basis in which the Ferndale Police Department was enforcing traffic and parking ordinances at the Ferndale High School. Can you explain what the trial basis was and what were the outcomes from that? And
long story short, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm somewhat involved with the athletic program at the high school. And when they put the new field in at the high school, there was a lot of folks driving, parking wherever they wanted, parking on sidewalks. So we went to and that is private property, so you cannot enforce traffic laws or parking laws on school premises, although there is a statute that allows, with a resolution passed by the school board and a resolution passed by the city, that gives us the authority to enforce parking and traffic laws on school property, on high school, middle school campus is what we were concerned with. There was some resistance at first from the school board, but after they saw a lot of their stuff being destroyed, last year we entered into a one-year trial program. We were kind of like put on probation to see if we were going to abuse the writing too many parking tickets or whatever. I don't really know exactly what their fears were, but it turned out to be a very good system. They would call us when they needed parking enforced. We cleared up all their problems with people parking on the grass and things of that nature. So, but it did have a sundown, and it ended last month, I believe.
September 1st. September
1st. So we asked to have that reinstituted. So now if this passes, then it would be in continuum until at some point in time either party decided to dissolve it. So we don't have to come back again every year.
So it's an event-based type of police services that you provide. Is that a correct statement?
Kind of. We would have the authority to enforce laws, traffic laws and parking laws at any time. But in reality, it is when we get called there.
Okay.
They would call us and say, there's folks parked over here at the football field, or they're parked over here at the different locations. It also covers the front part of the school where they have the drop-off area that they've had a lot of traffic problems with, and the drop-off and the pickup times. But during events, they have the ability to call us and wave us off to say, because it's their property, they say, we want to allow parking in the front of the school in that drop-off zone for teacher conferences. So then we ignore parking violations. But by and large, parking is enforced when they call us to enforce it there.
Okay. And are the amount of time that you're spending doing this being compensated through the revenue raised through tickets and parking?
Most undoubtedly, the amount of time that we would spend writing parking tickets with the electronic parking ticket system that we have, and the amount of parking tickets that were written, I'm sure would offset the officer's time to be over there. And like I say, I believe we ran the number of parking tickets that were written there in the last 12 months was less than 100. So it's not like we're there every day. It's just when they call us.
Okay. The questions where I'm getting caught is that we seem to be able to perform these services for the school, but yet we have a lot of residents who are complaining that we aren't writing the tickets for enforcing the signage and parking in certain areas of our city.
Anybody that calls and says that people are parking out in front of my house and they're not supposed to, we send cars and we issue parking tickets.
Okay.
Chief, I understand that motor vehicle violations and tickets are way down this year for perhaps a variety of reasons. But are we setting ourselves up by agreeing to take this on, and then not being able to perform because of whatever reason? If the school district asks us to enforce parking and we order our guys over there and they don't go, is that setting up a bad situation where the school district is going to look even less kindly upon the city?
Our experience over the year has been, we have 3 or 4 cars that are parked on the sidewalk. Can you send somebody over to issue a citation? And just like any other call, it gets triaged. If there's an available car, he gets sent over there. He writes 3 parking tickets, takes him all of 5 or 10 minutes, and he's on his way. No, I don't think that there has been, we have an outstanding relationship with the school. It has been a very easy fix for us. It has not been a problem, either in time, effort. We haven't spent an enormous amount of time doing it either. It's fairly simple.
And when I was at Ferndale High School, Al Gertley was in charge of
parking and writing tickets and all that stuff after he had retired. Do they have some system like that set up now when we're not around?
No, it's not allowed. And when we were doing it before, we were doing it wrong. Okay. This is the only way that you can write traffic tickets, other than you can write drunk driving because it's open to the public, and you can write reckless driving because it's open to the public, and handicap parking. We can enforce that without any agreement. But any other, even speeding, careless driving, stop signs, you couldn't cite anybody for on that ring road that goes around the high school without this type of an agreement. So that's what it really was for, is that we didn't have the ability to enforce the law, the traffic law, on that campus.
Great. Any other questions? All right, will someone move item I?
I would move to approve, or I'd move that we approve the amendment of the City of Ferndale Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Traffic and Motor Vehicle Code, to add Section 18-9, Traffic Regulation on School Property, as submitted by Chief of Police.
Support. Motion made by Baker, seconded by Galloway. Discussion? Madam Clerk.
Councilmembers Baker?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Mayor Covey?
Yes, passes unanimously. Thanks again, Chief. Item J, Madam Clerk.
That's approval of the Fourth Amendment to the Neighborhood Stabilization Program contract with Home Renewal Systems of Michigan, extending the sale of the NSP properties until June 30th, and eliminating the $5,000 contractor fee and revising the developer's fee to 15%.
Right. Councilman Galloway, you pulled it. Is there anything you'd like added to the introduction, or would you like to ask your question first?
Just a couple of questions, I think. What was the total amount of the NSP? Was it 1 point?
I think it's 1.1 million.
So this is almost 20% cost overrun. What's the basis of the cost overrun?
Well, no, it's a cost containment measure. We're reducing the developer fee from 20% to 15%.
So a projected $200,000 shortfall in funding to complete the houses is not meaning that the cost exceeded the expenses, but rather that the money available was less, and you're just going to complete the houses with $200,000 less.
They're going to get paid less for
Right.
completing the houses is what the proposal is.
Because of the funding, not because, the funding shortfall, that, the money from outside coming in is not there anymore. Is that what that says?
If I could, through the chair, I think the projected cost to rehabilitate some of those houses is higher than was originally projected, which is the result. That results in a pro forma where there's a potential $200,000 shortfall, and that's why this proposed amendment is being proposed to bring that containment back in line with what is being provided under the grant.
Okay, so that's why I said, cost overruns. There's not enough money to finish the thing, not because the grant went from 1.1 to 900, but because the cost of preparing the homes went from, say, 1.1 to 1.3.
Correct.
Or whatever the numbers may be. And do we know why is that just carrying costs on the homes not being able to sell them, or?
I don't know why specifically. Dan, did you have any discussions?
I don't have detail as to the specific reasons. I think there's been a number of issues associated with the program, and there's been a difference in implementation of these programs by various municipalities, and the county also is now using a little different tack with respect to its funds under the grant program, which is making which has resulted in the developer not being able to sell the houses as quickly as was projected, which would have allowed for some of those monies to be utilized to rehabilitate some of the remaining houses.
Okay, and is the reduction of the developer fee by 5% and plus $5,000, does that equal $200,000? How much is the developer getting?
I don't know that information.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm asking is, how does this equation balance out?
Or are we going?
$200,000 short plus 5,000, less $5,000, less 5% of the 20% of the developer fee, or what is that, 25% reduction in the developer fee and $5,000. Does that equal $200,000?
I don't know what it equals, but I'd be happy to bring back whatever budget information the council would be interested in seeing.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, by doing this, we're acknowledging a $200,000 cost overrun, and I guess we've negotiated with the developer a 25% reduction in his fee and $5,000 less.
Probably per house.
No, I don't think so. So what's the next step? I mean, if there's $200,000 short, either the developer doesn't get paid, we contribute more, the houses don't get built, what happens?
The proposal tonight is to pay the developer less for doing the same project.
Right, but I can't believe that 25% reduction in the developer fee is $195,000.
Well, where does that number come from?
Page number 2, item 2. Housing developer has projected a $200,000 shortfall or cost overrun. Therefore, the original 20% developer fee shall be reduced to 15%, so a 25% reduction of what the developer is going to get paid, and $5,000 and the elimination of the $5,000 construction supervision fee. So $5,000, that's a hard number. For the developer to shave $195,000 off the total budget would mean that his developer fee would be $800,000, which I can't believe on a $1.1 million project.
Well, I think there's more, the $5,000 construction supervision fee, there's more than one of those potentially. So I don't know how many of those there are, how much of the $200,000 that accounts for versus how much of the developer fee accounts for. But like I said, if that's something that the council is interested in learning more about, we can bring that back at a later date.
Well, I don't understand how this adds up. We got 10 houses. So I don't know. I just don't get this.
You're not going to get the answer right now tonight. 5% of $1 million is $50,000. That might be a chunk of the money, but we could. I don't know how timely it is that you need this amendment approved. You could approve it and ask for a further information or a further report at the next meeting from Marcia Shear through the city manager if you want.
Well, I mean, we're getting worked up here about $1,000 for an implementer, a facilitator, and I don't understand this. If this is another $200,000 out of the general fund, or how this is handled, or it seems to me that it must be some amount out of the. I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it.
This is all neighborhood stabilization money from the federal government. It's not general fund money.
But is there enough of it, I think, is what Scott's question is.
There is enough of it if this amendment is approved.
Yeah, they have contracts, so they have to do this work. And we are amending the contract, reducing the amount they get to keep so that they can proceed to keep doing the work. Is that?
That's the gist of it.
It's not our money. It's not going to come out of the general fund.
I think Scott has a valid point, though. There's less money to actually do the work, and apparently there is an increase in cost. So I would particularly like to hear some information of how this happened and what are we going to get. Because I think it was 28 homes, I believe, that they were going to purchase and redo and sell back into the marketplace.
Right.
So how many are been completed?
Sounds like we need more information because we can keep asking. We're not going to get the information right now tonight, right?
Nope.
All right. Do you know how timely this amendment is? Does it need to pass tonight, or can it pass in 2 weeks?
I think it could pass in 2 weeks. I think in the proposed amendment, it provides that invoices after November 15th would be impacted by this amendment. So if the amendment that would come back to you may have a later date if it's not passed this evening.
or you can pass the amendment, assuming that it's doing good things, and ask for a report at the next meeting. Your call. What do you guys want to do? You could table it.
Well, I don't understand. I'm not going to, I guess I don't want to vote on something I don't understand. So I would move that we table this agenda item until the next regularly scheduled meeting with City Council and ask that that we provide some details as to what is going on with this $200,000 and what cost savings are realized by this 25% reduction in the developer fee and the $5,000 construction supervision fee.
Support.
A full report is what you're asking.
Yeah, I guess addressing those things specifically.
Including how many homes have been done and how many are going to be done and any changes in the number of homes done.
I mean, if it's $5,000 per house, and you have 28 houses, it's $140,000. Then perhaps the developer was going to get 60. I mean, you know, then the numbers might work out. But if it's a one-time $5,000 reduction, then it doesn't.
We'll find out, and certainly legitimate questions. So we will have to, based on this vote, it'll have to be tabled. Any discussion on the vote, motion to table? Did anyone second that?
I didn't.
Councilwoman Baker seconded the motion to table this discussion. Madam Clerk.
Councilmembers Galloway?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Piana? Yes. Baker? Yes. Mayor Covey?
Yes, passes. All right, that takes care of all the items on the consent agenda pulled. What's next, Madam Clerk?
That brings us to council liaison reports, if any.
Any liaison reports for 8 Mile Boulevard Association? Michigan Suburbs Alliance. South Oakland Mayors Association, that dinner is canceled for November, Bob?
That's right.
Next one's in December. Southeast SEMCOG.
I just wanted to let everybody know I went to the SEMCOG General Assembly a week ago. It was just their normal membership meeting and had a report out on the financial situation of cities. Of course, that's always on every agenda. So I just want to let everybody know I'm still going and learning. And
Any news? Other than we already know?
they did a electronic poll with everybody present, and they basically asked some questions about what all the members would prefer. And one of them was a constitutional convention, and it was denied 72% at the SEMCOG General Assembly, and I think that was a good, didn't it deny or fail?
I don't know what the state numbers were for that.
State number, but it was high.
failed,
So I
agreed.
thought it was a really good representation of what was going to happen at the state level. And they also did ask some questions about transportation. So, and that everybody thinks that we need a regional transportation plan, and so moving ahead.
Aren't you still an alternate on the executive committee?
I am still an alternate on the executive committee, or executive board to SEMCOG as well. So I serve the General Assembly and the executive board.
Super, thanks for sharing that. Transportation riders, any update?
This Wednesday, True is having a progressive party on the People Mover for information on Woodward Light Rail and Detroit Chicago High Speed Rail. It looks like it's going to start at the Roland Cafe in the Guardian Building at 6 o'clock. Been to a couple of these, and they're generally pretty interesting. It's a good group.
Like a pub crawl, only you're on the People Mover?
Maybe you can eat right on the People Mover. Maybe set tables up. I don't know.
But you can't take the People Mover to Chicago.
Or really much anywhere.
All right. And Woodward Avenue Action Association, any news there?
Yes, Your Honor. The Executive Committee of the Woodward Avenue Action Association approved a letter of intent to make a offer to purchase part of the Ford Highland Park plant, specifically the historic administration building located on Woodward. It's the very preliminary first step in perhaps renovating and rehabilitating that historic building and establishing a welcome center on Woodward. So,
did they ever announce the results? A lot of us were voting on some national, we were voting for that building to win funding.
Yes,
National
and
Historic
Yeah, there was an online vote, and the Woodward Avenue Action Association did not win. Was among the top contenders, and I think helped raise a lot of awareness about the project.
All right. Very good. Madam Clerk, next.
That would be call to council,
Call
Your
to
Honor.
council. Julie Hall from the Rec Department and Kulik Center. Anything to share? All right. Chief Fire from the Fire Department, Chief Sullivan. Thank you, sir. Chief Collins from the Police Department. All right. Byron Fotides from the Department of Public Works. Leaf collecting, I know, is going on.
Yes, I wanted to give an update on our leaf collection program and then ask the residents for some assistance, and that is sometime tomorrow we'll cross over west of Woodward Avenue, and the weather's been very good, and it will be very good this week, and it's important for our overall collection to take advantage of the weather, and we're asking the residents on the west side of Woodward and throughout the season to get their cars off the street. It really slows us down. We do have rakers on our leaf trucks. Some cities, many cities don't have rakers. But if you can get your vehicles off, we're going to be working through this Saturday with the exception of Veterans Day Thursday. And we want to take advantage of the good weather. The leaves are dry. We can pick them up easily. If we don't get the cooperation, that means we get behind, the weather changes, and it takes us that much longer to collect the leaves. So we're just asking for everyone's cooperation.
Thanks, Byron. Madam Clerk, anything you'd like to share?
Just want to give a thanks to all of my people who helped with the election, the DPW, the police department, all of our wonderful election inspectors. And with the election fresh in everyone's mind, I know people waited in long lines and were patient, but if anyone is interested in serving the community as an election inspector, we do pay $125 for the day. Always looking for people who are comfortable on computers and don't mind putting in a long day. So please contact the clerk's office if you're interested.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yes, Your Honor. Good news, bad news. The bad news is that the work of the Financial Planning Committee hasn't completed its work in time to provide the council with the report and recommendations today, as we had initially hoped. That work continues. They're meeting every Wednesday at 5:30 at the community center if folks are interested in attending. Also, putting the agendas and the minutes on the city's website if folks want to follow along at home. So their work will continue probably into December. A little bit of good news is that today I attended the Oakland County Budget Symposium. This is the second year that Oakland County has hosted what they call their Budget Symposium, where they shared some of what they're doing to balance the county budget. Today they previewed their taxable value forecasts for the coming year, and they actually improved slightly. Previously, the county was projecting a 12% countywide taxable decrease. Now it's a 10% countywide taxable value decrease, and their specific number for Ferndale is even better than that. Now, there's a lot of things that are still outstanding. There's pop-ups and appeals and other things that will be finalized by the end of the year that will go into that number. But I do intend to provide the council with an updated long-term financial plan at the next council meeting. We have some additional information about some of our other cost factors, so I think the timing is right to present an update. So hopefully the city's financial outlook will get a little bit better. We're still going to be in the red in the foreseeable future, but that may take a little bit of the pressure off in terms of targeting a February election date. The window of opportunity for that is closing rapidly, if it's not closed already. But I don't think the Financial Planning Committee or the community at large are really prepared for a February election, May is the last opportunity for the voters to consider a millage question before the summer tax bills are levied in July 1. So that'll kind of be the make or break decision point for this this coming budget.
For this coming budget.
Right.
Sure. What about sound issues? You heard one of our residents ask about our moving on sound issues. Did we find a consultant and hire yet?
Actually, the police chief has solicited proposals from 3 consultants, including the consultant that the DDA had engaged, and a lot of folks seem to like. So he has the police chief's verified that those consultants will submit their proposals in time for the next council meeting.
Thank you. And any update on the fire authority work?
We had a meeting,
Good.
the first one since July, last week. It happened rather suddenly. We called a Thursday meeting on Wednesday. It seemed like all of a sudden the calendars that would not align finally did. Unfortunately, we spent a lot of the time in the meeting kind of catching up the president of the Hazel Park Fire Union because he wasn't at the prior meeting. So we don't have a lot of progress at this point to report, but the police chiefs had done their homework. The city managers we're working on ours in terms of the financial plan, and now that the union presidents are on the same page with the rest of us, they'll be completing their homework as well, which we actually discussed at the meeting. It's large part kind of comparing the contracts to see where the major differences lie.
You said another next meeting?
Yeah, we're meeting 2 weeks from today.
That sounds like progress. Great. Any questions for the city manager? Thanks. But the city attorney, anything to share?
Very briefly, council 2 meetings ago requested that the agenda item on the November 22nd meeting include a presentation with respect to the process and timeline associated with the replacement for you, Mayor, and also how that would work with respect to a possible council replacement as well. And so that will be on your next agenda. And then I just wanted to extend my congratulations to Sherilyn on her grandson as well.
Thank you.
That's
Super.
it, Your Honor.
Thanks, Mr. Christ. All right, Melanie Piana.
Yes.
Councilwoman.
A few things. I just wanted to say thank you to the voters for voting yes to pass the ballot initiative on November 2nd. It passed 42% to 48%. 52 to 48. 52 to 48%. And I know this is a big change for the city, and some of the things that we were talking today about strategic planning is helping us transition from that from our previous structure to the new structure. So I know a lot of people still have some concerns, and I think through this process we'll address those and make sure that we're communicating with everybody about what we're doing. I also have a few requests with the city manager. I know that the police chief and the planning department, and I think with the city manager, have gotten together to reinstate or reinvigorate the work through the vacant property task force. And I request that you report out someone from that team, sort of do a brief report out to the residents about how they, what are you doing, and what actions they can take. I don't know if you can do it at the next meeting, but I think that would be great. I know there's a pamphlet that you're creating, and I think that would be a timely thing. Also, I wanted to inquire about performance evaluations. We have received a self-assessment from the city clerk, and I believe the city manager, and now it's the next steps of council diving into the performance evaluations. And I was wondering what the projected timeline was to do that, if you have a revised one, because the last communications I saw was August 19th about the rollout of that, and we probably should have finalized the evaluations by October 11th based off of this old timeline. Bob?
You want me to talk about that right now?
I would like to have an update on that. Also, I was going to recommend that we look at doing peer reviews or 360 reviews is what I know them as for the department heads that report to council now or used to report to council, as well as part of the doing peer reviews for the city manager position too. I don't have specifics on how this would work, but I think it would be helpful as a new approach to getting feedback about the performance of these department heads and the city manager. So I would like input from council and from the city manager about how do we make that happen and how do we make it work effectively and fair. So those are some of the things that I've been thinking of. So that's all I have.
Very good.
Perhaps the city manager then, over the next week or so, could give you his update plan on how he sees the timeline. Would that be sufficient?
Yes.
Or helpful?
Yes. Oh, and I did have one more thing. As it relates to the fire authority discussion, Ferndale, when we started this discussion with Hazel Park 6 months ago in July, the Michigan Municipal League, SEMCOG, and the state of Michigan came up with this shared public services initiative, and at the time they were just formulating it, and now they have come out with some program requirements, and Ferndale is taking advantage of this service initiative where we have a facilitator from SEMCOG helping facilitate the discussions between Hazel Park and Ferndale, and this is something that's needed to help move these conversations forward. And I want to let people know that there is information about how to information about this program if you wanted to learn more, and you can go to michigan.gov/shared public services. So,
all right, Kate Baker.
I'll jump in here next as my computer battery is running low, and I want to make sure to announce these 3 dates that are here in front of me. FernCare has 3 big fundraisers coming up this fall. The first is Friday, November the 19th. We are reprising our Fern Cares for Music concert series. The New Way Bar will again be hosting us, the New Way Bar at Woodward and Camborne. There is a $5 per person cover. We'll be doing a 50-50 raffle all night long, and it's just a lot of great bands who come out, have supported us over the last couple of years, as well as I think a couple new people on the docket. So some of the old favorites and some new folks at the New Way Bar. Again, that's November 19th. It is from 7 p.m. until 1 a.m. The next is November 27th. That's a Saturday. This is an event that I'll be working. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It is the 125th anniversary of the Detroit Curling Club, and they're having an open house all day long from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. FernCare will be there just to meet the community. The Curling Club will be collecting a suggested donation. We're not turning anyone away, but there is a suggested donation at the door to support FernCare as well as the Detroit Curling Club. So again, that is Saturday, November the 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Curling Club is basically at the western edge of Martin Road Park. It's at 1615 East Lewiston. If you take East Lewiston east from Hilton, you'll basically dead end right at the Curling Club. And then the last one is our second annual Bowl-a-thon. It's coming up on Sunday, December the 5th. From 1 to 5 p.m. at Ferndale's own Luxury Lanes. They are always wonderfully generous to us. It's a lot of fun. We have great prizes, and teams really get into the spirit of friendly competition. People are, there's a $55 per person sign-up requirements. Most of the people who are participating are raising that money rather than writing the check themselves, but you're certainly welcome to write the check yourself if you don't have the time to raise the cash. Again, that's Sunday, December 5th at Luxury Lanes, our second annual Bowl-a-thon. All of these dates are located at www.ferncare.org, which is the FernCare Free Clinic website. My last request of the evening actually is, I think, for the city clerk, although it might be for the city manager's office, as I wasn't here the last go-round when we had a council appointment situation. But I wondered if we could get some information on the criteria that were used to accept nominations and evaluate applicants the last time there was a vacancy on council. That way, next week when we talk about the process, we'll have some information from the last go-round, just to understand a little bit about the process they went through and whether or not we might want to modify that this time. Thank you.
Super, good idea. Lots of fundraising for Fern Care. And that on the 19th, that's a busy night. I will
It is a busy
bring a group, a gang, over to the New Way after the roast. We'll be
Thank you
battered
much.
and black-eyed and, disheveled.
Jeannie, you'll be ready for a drink?
Oh, yeah. So,
before you get there.
Councilman Galloway.
Just thank everybody for participating in the election. Congratulate the mayor, a great representative for us in Pontiac, and look forward to the changes ahead for us in 2011.
Thank you, Councilman Galloway. I appreciate that. Yes, Mike Lennon.
Just real quick, top of my list, congratulations, Cheryl Lynn.
Thank you, Mike.
Grandma. Through the chair, Bob's been about a year, but since a good portion of our city is in the Hazel Park School District, they used to come in and give us updates, like the Ferndale schools do. And we haven't seen them in quite some time. If they don't want to, that's fine, but maybe somebody can make a call. Find out why not. And sometime in the near future, if there is any progress or any news at all, can you give us a fire police update in one of our packets, please?
For labor negotiations?
Yep.
Very good, Councilman. All right, real quick, congratulations to former Mayor Geddard, who was installed as the 43rd District Court Judge, sitting in Hazel Park. Mayor Pro Tem Baker and I attended that. It was a very neat, very cool event. I want to thank the voters who turned out in pretty big numbers in Ferndale. And I also want to congratulate the two gentlemen who ran against me or with me for County Commissioner. Richard Parisi is an excellent gentleman. His wife is a councilwoman over at Hazel Park. Called me the very next day. He's a great guy. And also Andy Lacuro, who ran as a Libertarian and got 10% of the vote. Andy's a good friend of mine, and we actually hung out on election night. So that's the great part of democracy, is when an election, when there's a winner and a loser, there's not a revolution or a riot, but we all get along, and that's good. That's the way it should be. Mr. Brunner, you will keep us informed as we move closer to the installation of the Vincent Chin Memorial. I know it's coming up. It's something very dear to me, and I know the ZDA is working on it. Just so folks know, we're hoping November. It may be December when that memorial is installed, and we'll be inviting folks from the Chinese American Society and other groups to join us. I had the pleasure of attending a grand opening and ribbon cutting for the one of the two new tattoo parlors in town. Melanie, were you? No, I forget who else attended with me, but Signature Tattoo opened up. I don't know if the cameras can catch, but I decided to go ahead and get my next tattoo, which is a fern leaf, and I left the artwork there so that if anybody else would like a fern leaf, they can get that. There's a second one that is opened called Avatar. Again, just two new businesses in our town. I attended the Police Auxiliary Recognition Dinner, courtesy of Chief Collins, last Saturday night. Again, a really, really nice event, really great people who do a lot for us. And coming up soon, this is the season of banquets and dinners. The annual Ferndale Chamber of Commerce dinner is coming up fast. Some of you are going to attend? I'm going, yes. And we have a city table, at least a city table. So if you haven't reserved, Shirley will take your reservation and RSVP. I think that looks like fun. If there be no other business tonight, again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Meeting's adjourned.